My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Hello and welcome to this. It is the EggChasers Rugby Podcast, the podcast about rugby. Doesn't take itself or the game too seriously. I'm JB in the Rugby Dungeon with Phil. Hello, Phil.
Hello, JB. How are you?
I'll be better once I lean over to that mixer. That's Tim's job, isn't it? He has one job, which is to slide his finger up and down that little dial to make the music go quieter. He's not even here for it. Yes,
shame.
I'm very well, thanks.
Good.
Have I told everyone that this is the Rugby Podcast that doesn't take itself too seriously, but takes the game very seriously, or whatever I meant to say?
Something like that. I think you said something like that, and you can find us, contact eggchasers@gmail.com.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we can do. Or you can go and watch Tim Cocker on YouTube, or contact me at Beardmore & Co. if you've got any financial planning queries, etc. Anyway, what have you done with your weekend?
Not that much. Lots of looking after kids. Few beers last night. A little bit hungover today.
Oh, really? Where were you? Anywhere exciting?
DBF. Didsbury Beer Festival.
Oh, no way.
Yes way.
Who'd you go with?
With mutual friends Harry, Jack and Bones.
I was there on Friday.
Were you?
I was
Were
there
you
on Friday. But I just assumed that no one else was going to go, so I didn't tell anyone I was going. And what was your favourite tipple?
So I stuck with there's the ales, all the cask stuff, and I just avoided all of that like the plague.
Completely right.
There was the cider and perry section, and I completely avoided that.
So far, we're absolutely on point here with each other.
And there was a relatively small, but quite good range of like more my crafty type stuff.
Yeah, I only had a third.
I had almost all of mine were 1/3.
And I spent exactly £20.
so
wow, we had the same night.
I spent £20, although I drank a lot more than £20 worth of beer because I think a lot of the because it's to raise money for the school and the church.
I literally have no idea.
But basically, so that Saturday was the last day. Towards the end of the night, they just weren't charging anyone because they had to get rid of the beer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So,
well.
I really enjoyed the Saturday because it quietened off after about 10 o'clock, and they had beer to get rid of, and they just wouldn't refusing to charge me for it.
It's done.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I feel like a fool for going on Friday now.
If only.
Well,
this is unusual. So I have been not for many years, but one of the times I went 5 or 6 years ago. I went on the Saturday night, the last day, and they'd run out of anything good. Absolutely anything good had gone. So you were stuck to drinking horribly fruity ciders, heavy stouts without all the goodness of like being 8 or 9%. Just a horrible tasting stout, a mild, like basically the stuff that no one wants to drink was all that was left.
Did you enjoy the lemon drizzle sour?
Did I have the lemon drizzle sour?
Superb.
I had a very good ghost. I had the lemon drizzle sour. Yes,
it's good, wasn't it?
So those two, the ghost was sour and a little bit salty. Both were very good and very good as a palate cleanser in between. Few IPAs, palate cleanser, few more IPAs.
Well, that was a lovely detour. If you're wondering, Tim Cocker is down the line. We don't know where he is. I suspect he's in his other property somewhere, either I don't know, Greece or mid Wales. probably looking after his other property before the government takes it away from him in the budget.
He could well be in transit in the Spirit of Cocker.
Yeah.
Using Starlink to dial in.
That he could be anywhere. Anyway, rugby. What rugby did you watch this weekend?
I've seen a bit of everything. I watched the game I watched most and was almost fully concentrated on was the Bath Sale game.
Oh, goodness me!
But I watched Bristol Northampton on Friday night.
Yep.
I watched that. I then watched most of, although I missed the last 10 minutes live of Saracens hosting Leicester, and the only game of Premiership I've not really seen is today's game.
Which is fortunate because today's game is the one I absolutely had to see. I really wanted to watch that. Got quite a lot out of it actually. I saw Friday night's game.
Yeah,
I saw Tigers Saracens. Watched a bit of Bath, but the reason I didn't watch all of Bath Sale was because I went to a game this weekend.
Oh, tell me more.
I went to Sale FC versus Esher.
Oh, just down the road from me.
Do you know what? It's such a good experience there.
It's good. Did you go with the girls or did you go?
No, I went on my own because my daughters were out doing daughtery things. And I thought, I've got a day to myself. Disbury Talk H aren't playing. What should I do? I'll get wrapped up. I'll go down to Hayward Road. So 15 quid in, which I think is a bargain, actually, for what was on display.
Yeah.
I had a Diet Coke.
Yeah.
And a packet of crisps for £3. But the rugby on display, it was entertaining. So here's my takeaway. Here's my very harsh takeaway from the game. Two teams that wanted to look like professional sides, but without the details to pull it off. So you can sort of see they want to put in professional systems. They've obviously been watching their videos, but they just do things wrong. They do so many things wrong. I'll give you a classic example. Both Esher and Sale, particularly in the first half, were just too flat. I mean, it's like when you get into a new club team, the first thing you want to do is make sure that everyone's holding their depth. Mm. So it's great having all these complex moves and some bloody big players. Mm-hmm. But if you can't hold your depth, what's the point? There is no point. So it was a good game actually.
Who's playing that we would know?
Good question.
Was Brady playing?
Brady was playing fullback.
Yeah,
club captain, I think.
Yeah. Crash ball fullback as I described him last season.
Yes. Two other players who've got substantial club experience in Kieran Booth, who was London Irish and Connacht.
Okay.
And Kieran Parker, who was London Irish and Munster. And if you remember, we bumped into some of his mates in Malaga who played with him at Munster.
We did, yes.
Yeah. So those two were on display. There's maybe someone of local renowned who you'd know. I'm trying to think of. No, maybe not.
I'm trying to think. The boys I know who were playing last year, or one was playing last year and one was on the sideline. Danny Birchall, loosehead prop.
No, he wasn't there.
And Matt Bradley, the number 9.
No, he didn't play either, I don't think.
I'll try to think of anyone else.
So Charlie Mulcrone, hang on, Fergus Mulcrone.
One of the Mulcrone boys, yeah.
A Mulcrone would have played, but he was injured.
Okay.
A lot of the Sale lads who they'd want to play were not available because of Premiership Cup next week, so they pulled them out. And this is actually quite difficult. I mean, Sale have to understand what they are, which is basically a feeder team for Sale.
Yes.
So you can't really complain when all the Sale boys go. But it is a problem for them, because how do you plan for the future? I mean, what's the end goal here? Is it Championship? Is it where do you go? So the game started, Esher smashed them in the scrum.
Really?
It wasn't even... The first scrum was an embarrassment.
With Kieran Parker playing for FC. Wow.
And they absolutely annihilated them. Now, I don't know what happened, but the Esher prop promptly went off injured. So that didn't happen again. Esher had all the ball, but then they started making errors. And they played nice rugby. So Sale were very, very sort of tight towards the breakdown. And all the Esher would do is pop it over the top, apply the pressure, get into the Sale 22, knock it on. Because they get nervous and they sort of kept on creeping up. So every time Sale got the ball, they scored. Then Esher would sort of get one back. Esher missed 2 lineouts in the Sale 22.
Ooh.
So this kind of went on back and forth. And now bearing in mind, Esher are third from bottom.
Yeah. They're one of the few teams that Sedge have beaten this season.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So they have come up to Hayward Road and they've got a bonus point in the bag. So it's a bit of a ding-dong game. He should go down to Sale 22. They get the 3 points, and I'm thinking they're going to win this. I mean, I really thought that they were going to win. Anyway, they've gone away from what they were playing early doors, which is nice expansive rugby. They get into Sale 22, and they just narrow it down. They must go through 10 phases, and they just try to go through the middle of Sale, and Sale become very, very comfortable defending this new version of Isha, which is not on display for the first 70 minutes. So they give away a penalty. Sale kick it inside the Isha 22. Isha win it back. And at this point, the fly half is like, well, we've got a bonus point away from home. Time is up. Should I spanner it into touch? Or should I win the game? So he spanners it into touch. Sale pull off a line out on the 22. Goes to top. Bring it back down to Hooker. Hooker canters in for a try. No bonus points for Isha. Everybody goes home. Last play of the game. All Sale boys bring on their beers and get merrily drunk. But good day out.
And everyone goes onto the pitch afterwards at Sale.
Yeah,
as well,
it's really. I tell you what, it's
on the pitch.
Such a nice atmosphere. I'd love to do more Sale FC.
Yeah. Next time you're going down, let me know because I'll go with the kids.
Yeah, have you been to watch Sedge at that level yet?
I've not been. So I've watched Sedge last season at Sale, but I've not been down. Last Christmas, I think, was the last time I went.
That might be
down to Sedge.
That might be good to watch, actually.
Yeah, Sedge is always good.
Who lost this week?
I can't remember who to, actually. Yeah, anyway, Sedge lost again this week, predictably.
Yeah. Right. Some Premiership action, because let's talk about Premiership, because I know what's going to happen. Tim will get on the line and say, nobody's interested in the Premiership, only big ticket items here.
Well, no one's interested in grassroots rugby, so we've boxed off before Tim comes in.
Yeah.
No one's interested in Premiership.
Unless it's Broughton Park in the 16s.
Yes.
In which case, we've got hours for it. And I'm down for it.
I'm all for that as well.
Let's see, when he comes on, how long we can bait him into under 16 chat. Okay, so
what was your favourite game of the weekend that you saw? Favourite moment from a game? Most interesting bit from a game?
My favourite game this weekend was probably Exeter Harlequins.
Okay, so this is the one that I've not really seen much of. So talk to me. Tell me what happened. And I'll just preface that by saying I think the scoreline is fairly predictable. It's what I was kind of expecting.
Yeah. So I wanted to see this game because I'm just fascinated by the Rob Baxter experiment. Like, everything he's done in the past has turned to gold.
And it's taken some time.
Yep.
But he is always... He's
literally...
Gone from Tier 2 to double winning, including European Cup, and going the hard route to do so as well.
Yeah, so when he won the European Cup, I mean, I don't know how good the Crusaders were that year, or the Highlanders, or the Hurricanes, whoever was inevitably winning Super Rugby. But I would say Exeter Chiefs they were literally the best team in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yes.
They might have been the best club team in the world.
Yes.
And he's done that off his own back, right?
Yep.
So he knows a thing or two. Now,
definitely.
I kind of wonder if Exeter are like the proverbial small family business, which is as soon as the founder leaves, or actually some large businesses too,
yep,
nobody can pick up the mantle.
Yes.
So it seems every year we have the same story. Rob Baxter has become the director of rugby, or rugby executive director, or something else, overseeing CEO of rugby things, or whatever it is.
With a whole stable of coaches underneath him.
Yep, all led by Ali Heifer. And then about this time every year, Rob Baxter gives up on the director of rugby stuff and then starts being the coach again. And that's exactly what happened this week.
More hands-on with the coaching side.
Yeah. Look, guys, it's just not working. Yeah, it's nice that you want to be like me, but you're not like me. Right? Not all the animals are equal. And I think in Exeter Chiefs' case, this is particularly it. But what's different about this is that he's just assembled the biggest, youngest, most athletic side, maybe in the Premiership. So if you look at the Exeter pack, I'm pretty sure they can put a pack over, I think it's over a ton. Like, it's an enormous pack. So you got Painter and good Rich Clark, and there's
both,
just some
both absolutely massive.
Tuima, just some massive men. So you can see what they're looking for. They've got no problem with physicality. They've got no problem with athleticism. They're just not a very good rugby team. And I think, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's the control, because you're right, they can do some of the basics brilliantly, but we said before about the halfbacks, and I can't speak to this game, but this game was Beckinsale and
Skinner.
Hayden. Was it?
Oh, I thought it was Skinner.
Was it Skinner?
Oh, you're making me doubt myself now, but go on.
I've got in front of me Hayden Wood, but I didn't actually watch the game, so I don't know.
Well, Beckinsale was a distinct upgrade from it was Hayden Wood actually,
and then Skinner came off the bench.
Yes, he did. I knew that I saw him. I never thought Will Hayden would get another start again in his life, actually, from earlier on this season, but here he is.
Well, they've not got many options.
No, they don't.
I mean, those are the two options, unless you're going to put Henry Slade there, but then you lose, well, the best 13 in England to play in 10.
So my question about Exeter was this, like, with Baxter being back, and undoubtedly knowing a thing or two about winning rugby games, was he going to be able to somehow get a little bit more out of these players? Watching the first half, the answer is categorically no. I think the first half they were abysmal.
Okay.
Second half, actually, there's a bit of a different story here. You're sort of watching, you think they've tied up on defence, and it wasn't until the penalty followed by the try from the winger, whose name escapes me, what's his name? The really fast winger who's called up to England, not Argentine.
Not Argentine.
Murley.
Oh, Caden Murley.
And that really did just kill it off. But actually, they were in the hunt. And if you watch the first half, I thought Harlequins was so much better. And I think the things that they're missing is cohesion in defence. So some of their defending is just dreadful. They just let the door open for two of the Harlequins' tries. Just wide open defence. Errors. It's like little system errors, not in like the way that they shape up or stuff like that. It's like around the breakdown. They don't do their jobs particularly well. And I think this game really put paid to the idea that the missing ingredient is two just experienced players. Like I know that Henry Slade played, but I mean, he didn't make a shred of difference.
No, I think for me, Tim made the point a while ago that had Henry Slade played, they would have beaten Leicester, which they lost with a last-minute concession.
Potentially.
And I probably agree with that point, but you're right, Henry Slade doesn't make sufficient difference. It's the halfbacks are where they have to get.
It's everything. It's the compounding small errors. Now, I think the big improvement from this week is the fact that none of their tries came from wonder tries. So there's some slick handling, but it was interplay. It wasn't just one player being much better than everyone else. So Feo Boso didn't play, as you can tell, right? But that's what they're relying on. It's like, we'll just sort of hold on until Feo Boso scores. And because that didn't happen, I actually think it was a small improvement. The second half was a small improvement. I'm still quite positive on them, weirdly, after winning only no games.
Yeah, winning a total of 0 games.
Yeah, winning a total of 0 games. I'm still fairly positive on them. I'm still quite excited about the project. I just hope that the Exeter fans don't lose faith in this.
Yeah, I said that. Like, you cannot lose faith in Baxter. You've got to stick with Baxter.
Yeah,
like he is so important to that club, and it won't. I really said this right at the start of the season. I think they are a couple of seasons away at least from competing at the top level. But I think Baxter is the man who can get them back to competing.
I think it's going to turn around really quickly.
Well, unless they bring in a big money 9 or 10, preferably a 10.
Yeah,
you put Finn Russell in that team, and in 4 weeks, that team is winning games left, right, and centre.
I think you're right, actually. I think some master organiser would be, that'd be brilliant. Both at 9 and 10, actually.
And I think, well, they did it very well with Nick White and Joe Simmons. And Joe Simmons he's a very good 10, but he's not a Finn Russell or a Marcus Smith or a George Ford.
Nope.
He is a very solid 10.
Well, he lost his job to Harvey Skinner.
Well, yes.
So Harvey Skinner is probably a better fly half anyway.
Well, not by the way he's been playing this season from what I've seen. No comment on this game, but noting he didn't start. I was thinking before, because of that Nick White, how successful he was, maybe the way to do it is to get a Nick White 2.0, or indeed Nick White 1.0, get the man himself back.
Yes.
Or there are some because France have an embarrassment of riches of playmaking tens. You could, but none of them are going to play because the best player in the world, possibly the best player of all time, Antoine Dupont, is occupying the 9 shirt.
Mm-hmm.
There's about 5 French 9s who Exeter could get. So like Baptiste Soran, Couillou, Luku, Le Garrec, any one of those I think would make an inordinate amount of difference to it.
Well, they've got a load of salary cap, but
Yep.
maybe not a load of cash. They underspend their salary cap apparently by about 2 million.
Which is enormous.
Yeah.
But that is to create headroom, because if all of these players
Turn out to be good.
turn out to be as good as Baxter thinks they can be, they would occupy the full salary cap and potentially more with this exact squad.
Do you know, I've just got a feeling. that they're like, per man, 5 or 6% off.
Yeah.
Like, they just tighten it up slightly. But it's like test cricket in a way, which is like, we all know the batsmen are really good. We all know they're really talented, but can they concentrate for 12 hours? Like, can these guys concentrate for more than 20 minutes?
Yeah.
And they just can't. And that's where they let themselves down. It's like this high-level and then they start compounding errors. And that's when the inexperience comes in across the board. And I just don't think that one experienced forward in Vermaelen's going to be enough. One experienced back, or 2 experienced backs in Woodburn and Slade will be enough. And that's the story of this game. So they're going to have to really go back to basics. I think, the most basic game plan. No, not even the most basic game plan. Do you know the way I said that Sale FC wanted to look like a professional team but didn't have their basics? It's like, make sure your depth is right. Make sure you're clearing your rucks. Make sure you're doing every single nuts and bolts job perfect. And they'll be about 80% there because they've got the natural ability. You watch Ross Vincent run. Brilliant guy.
Yeah.
You watch Tuima carry. Not an issue.
Yeah.
They've got size all across the pack. They've got speed, plenty of speed in the backs. You've got 2 of the most exciting wings in the Premiership. And Josh Hodge is brilliant. So what is the missing ingredient? It's details.
Details and better halfbacks.
And better halfbacks, yeah.
But the flip side of this conversation is Harlequins.
Did they play?
Who, well, I don't know. You tell me. Didn't see the game. But Exeter at home against Harlequins, and Exeter, who are only missing... well, they're not even missing Henry Slade because he's playing Faye Waboso. They're missing Faye Waboso. That might be it. Whereas Quins are missing some key players. They're missing Don Brandt, Cunningham South, Marcus Smith, and Northmore's in the squad, although he's not actually played very much this season.
So here's my question for you. Is there a club in the Premiership that has got so many players who are the best players in their position in the league who don't play for England?
Say that question again.
So, like, they've basically built their squad with players who are some of the best in their position,
but just not quite good enough.
Not quite good enough.
Yeah.
Like
Jack Kenningham and Will Evans.
Perfect. Caden Murley.
Caden Murley. Jack Walker is maybe the 4th cab off the rank.
I was thinking about Jack Walker today. The only way you ever get into England as a Harlequin is to play loosehead. Everyone else is roundly ignored. So if he moves across one, he should be in with a shot.
Yeah, or Tyrone Green, or Will Porter as well.
Will Porter's excellent.
Dynamite. He's playing really well at the moment.
Yeah. So you look at all these players, you think, like, they have got so many guys. I mean, even the guys who are not England qualified. I mean, I don't think enough people talk about Els in the second row, who's just a monster. Just a big, bearded, horrible man.
Els or Herbs?
Herbs, sorry. Is it... Hang on. Yeah, Els played. Herbs is the guy.
Yeah, Els is the loosehead, isn't he?
Yeah. I think Enyanwu's class.
Yeah.
He's
getting more and more game time and looking good doing it. Oscar Beard's the other one that was in the previous England squad that got called up but dropped out as a consequence of Northmore going into the squad.
So they've just got a really well-constructed squad. And now they do lose...
How much of that is just luck? Because you don't deliberately pick. So a lot.
Yes, you do.
Well,
yes, you do.
A lot of these guys are brought through. So like Caden Murley, for example, or Oscar Bird, or Lennox Anyanwu, that is a good.
They're
Quinn's lads. Like that's just luck that they've not quite been good enough to get to England. That's not planning.
Yeah, but there are some smart signings, aren't there? Like Will Evans is Tigers. Whether he was any good, I can't even remember when they signed him if he was any good. I assume he was quite good.
Jack Walker was he?
Jack Walker's Bath.
Yeah, but was he Leeds? Leeds before Bath. I had in my head.
Leeds, Bath, and then Quinn's replacement for what's his name?
Baldwin.
Yeah, he was really good, really good for them. Would you rather Nick David or Anthony Watson? Do you see what I mean?
Yes. Well, Anthony Watson was playing and available this week, which we can touch on later.
Yeah.
But yes, Nick David.
Yeah, Harlequins looked for every mistake that Exeter made in the first half. Harlequins nearly punished them every time. And if it wasn't for some really bad decision making, like Will Evans slipped over.
I've seen the Will Evans not giving the pass.
That was poor. I mean, there's a few times where Harlequin. I mean, this game could have gone completely differently. Harlequins could have absolutely smashed them. So they were lucky not to. But they reacted well in the second half. Did Exeter. Harlequins, they to me look like one of the best teams in the Premiership. I think like you got the top two, or maybe top three if you include Bristol. And then
just out of interest, who is your top three?
Bath,
yes.
Bristol. I like Tigers.
Tigers, Sarries.
We'll talk about Sarries in a second.
Because we can go on to that game because Tigers, Sarries played each other this week. First time in 6 years that Tigers have won at whatever it's called now, StoneX.
Yeah.
And both teams lose players. Both teams lose a significant chunk of players. Saracens probably do, on balance, lose a few more key players. And Tigers having Pollard and Montoya playing, there's a lot of, salary cap and marquee players available for them in that game.
Yeah. So I don't think that I'm talking out of town here, right? But we have some connection to certain people at Leicester Tigers, and because of that, we have some insight into how carefully Leicester Tigers curate, and I use the word curate, their squad. Mm-hmm. It's very, very carefully, right? The way that they manage their salary cap, the talent that they bring in, and you can see there's an identity to that team. And when they lose their internationals, the players that come in, they kind of look like they do the same sort of job in the same sort of system, and that's understandable. Let's have a think about Saracens, right? They are kind of incredibly well-planned and thoughtful when it comes to assembling half their squad, and then totally reckless when it comes to the other half, because they will play almost absolutely anybody. So, you look at some of the signings they've made over the last, 2-3 years, and you think, how on earth are these guys playing for the ex-Premiership and European Championship? How are they lining up alongside last year Owen Farrell, but this year Mauro Itoje? How are they even training with these guys?
Current England captain Jamie George.
Yeah, and I think this is wild. There's like a handful of guys. It's like the difference between the guys that Pat Lam likes to pay and everybody else. So you can see part of the Saracens construction is Gonzalez, who's amazing.
He is amazing.
He is. He's absolutely class. And then you can see all the homegrown guys who are slowly bought into the team. Like Tompkins was slowly bought into the team, and now he's a key guy. Yeah, you can see things going on with Toby Knight.
Toby Knight,
clearly a guy with a massive future for them. Yeah,
made a great covering tackle on Anthony Watson, who is not slow.
And then there is who's the injured guy at the moment? The guy who broke his leg for Scotland.
Andy Christie. Andy
Christie.
Andy Christie.
Tobias Elliott. Like the list of these youngsters who they carefully bring through and blood the Saracens' way is amazing. And then you've got Tim Sweel. Who
just joined up with the squad last week.
Really?
Yeah, he's had 3 training sessions.
Yeah. I was like, no, it can't be that Tim Sweel. It can't possibly be ex-Harlequin Tim Sweel.
Yeah.
And it was.
Who's younger than I thought. So he's 31, I think I looked up this week. I was expecting him to be 37. When I looked at it, I was like, I've not heard that name for a long time.
Yeah, it's just, and you look at some of the signings last year, particularly in the front row, they would play like Munapola. Where did he come from?
Yeah.
What is this? So anyway, Tim Swale at the helm after 3 games, because that's the Saracens' way.
Scored a try.
Yeah, he did fine. He did absolutely fine. So maybe I'll give him a little bit more credit. Whether that makes a difference if they have Fergus Burke or Tim Swale, I don't know. I thought Tigers were very powerful.
They were powerful. They certainly were powerful. And they played some nice rugby as well. They're powerful up front. Pollard flinging the ball about a bit to get it wide to Hassel Collins and Watson,
who actually scored.
Who both had good games, yeah. Hassel Collins has had a few decent games.
Well, Hassel Collins seems to have got over his early impressions of Alex Cuthbert, and now he looks back to his old self, which is great for Tigers, because when he plays well, he's very good.
And Isaiah Parise,
one of my favourite players in the Premiership at the moment. I love this guy. Disappointed he didn't get a yellow card.
He actually, I don't know if you saw the post-match. I think it was referenced in his post-match interview.
No.
That it took a little while for you to settle down with a brace of yellow cards in the first 2 games, 100% strike rate. But and it was also mentioned that they can bring back in Kata.
Yeah, where is he?
He's injured.
Is he?
So Parise and Kata in that midfield is explosive, powerful.
I mean, you only need one of those guys. I think 2 of them might become unbalanced.
Well, it's also a lot more likely to... Your strike rate for yellow cards just doubles instantly.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's absolute chaos, isn't it? I love Parise. He just whacks people. He's so powerful, so aggressive. I just love him.
And he's quite a low centre of gravity as well.
Yeah.
He's not the tallest bloke, but he's so powerful. His try was ace, and it was Tobias Elliott who got royally sat down to the point where he did a backflip, like a backwards comedy roly-poly.
Yeah, I bet they'll watch out a few times in review on Monday.
Definitely.
Yeah. Leicester look great, absolutely great. Whether they're quite good enough to make the playoffs, I don't know. So, I mean, I think
Tigers are.
My worry with them is what they do is high risk. Now, everyone's going to say, no, it's not high risk. It's low risk because they go through many phases and they like their set piece and it's a power game. That is the definition for me nowadays of high risk rugby, because as soon as you turn it over, teams like Harlequins, teams like Bath, Northampton, Bristol, they will just put points on you left, right and centre. Like, not scoring points now in the Premiership is the risky way to operate because everyone can score points. So what's your plan? You're going to hold on to the ball forever? Because I don't like your odds.
Well, Tigers, I've got the table in front of me. Tigers have conceded the fewest points.
Have they?
Yeah. So they are successful on that so far. And they've only lost 1 game. They've won 5 out of 6 so far. So it is working, but I definitely see the point, and I see it more when you get to the business end of the season when it's a flat track, it's dry, it's warm weather.
Yeah.
And Northampton or Quins or Bristol or Bath are running it from everywhere.
Exactly, and they can do all the things that they want to do. I think Saracens probably quite a good matchup for them at the moment. Saracens' kicking game wasn't as good as it normally is, whether that's because they had Anthony Watson, Mike Brown, and Ollie Hassel Collins. Well, actually, just the first 2, not the third guy, patrolling the backfield. I don't know. But it certainly wasn't up to its usual standard. And
you've also got, so ordinarily you'd have, Fergus Burke, potentially Good or Elliot Daly, who can all kick, and Lazowski actually. So in the start, Burke, Lazowski, and Daly or Good,
and that's why they're such a nightmare.
Yeah, who can all kick and kick. They can kick and run, whereas you've not quite got the same kicking threat. With the team that they had out on Saturday.
Hold 2 seconds, because I want to see, is Tim in our waiting room?
Oh.
If he is, he is not.
He's not.
Do you want to tell him that he's not in the waiting room?
Yes.
Right, done. Yeah, and that's why they've got... Yeah, and that's why...
Oh, sorry, I've only just seen Tim's message.
Yeah, so Tim is somewhere, and he's trying to get onto Zoom, but he can't. Is that?
Well, I think he's dropped off Zoom now.
Okay. Right. So, shall we put that one to bed? Anything more you want to say?
Trying to think. No.
Tom Willis. Talk about Tom Willis.
Oh, Tom Willis. Yeah, Tom Willis was superb, actually.
He was good.
He was really good. And so he was in the previous round of England squad, the one that kind of briefly got called up for a meeting about 3-4 weeks ago. And alongside a few other back rows, because there was a big turnover in the back rows, he dropped out. But he can't be far off. He can't be far off.
So actually, just to talk about the risky way Leicester play, I think that the Tompkins try, I'm going to call it the Willis try, although he didn't score it, did he? Or did he score it?
No, he got stopped and then...
Someone scored.
Someone crashed over, yeah.
And the John Martin Gonzalez try are examples of just teams being able to score at will.
Yeah.
And that's what Leicester have got to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
And if they, it's one of those things, isn't it? If Leicester are successful, how many teams decide to copy them? So I think everyone's trying to copy the Harlequins model at the moment.
Well, yeah.
Or the Northampton.
Let's call it Northampton because they were...
Because they won.
They were the champions last year. Yeah.
So, yeah. They are counter-cyclical, some might say.
Yeah. Part of that is what Chica has referenced himself, that he's not been in there that long. He's building systems, and the easiest systems to build are the defence and set piece. So he's got that in place, and then foundations, once you've got those foundations, more can be built on top of it. It's just how much more he tries to build.
Now, last week, Phil, you'll remember that Tim told us that there was a podcast out there calling themselves the Podcasting OGs.
The Rugby Podcasting OGs.
Rugby Podcasting OGs.
Did he say who it was?
No, he didn't. But following that, I got a text from a podcaster to claim they were innocent.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so just a quick shout out to my dear friends at Blood and Mud.
Oh, yes.
League contacted me to say categorically they have not said that they are the podcasting OGs, but it was nice to chat anyway.
Oh, very good.
So
good.
Have you got a theory on who it is?
I don't.
It's a grassroots podcast. Not,
it must be.
Not an established one like us or Blood and Mud. I reckon it's Jim and Goody.
Possibly.
I'm 100% certain.
Or Hask.
No.
Surely.
No, that'd be outrageous. That'd be an outrageous claim. Not even he would claim that. Talking of last week, I did a little bit of research this week. So, where was I? I came back from Venice, and I was thinking about something. In fact, I was thinking about Newcastle player Sam Stewart.
Sam Stewart.
Right.
He is getting, after not being mentioned on this podcast for literally years of him playing, we've talked about him a lot for the last few weeks.
So last week, right, I felt as somewhat ambushed after Steve Diamond himself said he was found languishing in the squad, only for Tim Cocker to ambush him and say, no, he's had loads of appearances.
Well, you did say last week that Steve Diamond had said that Steve Diamond gave him his first Newcastle start.
No.
So that's what you...
I said he was languishing in the squad and he gave him a shot.
You did say that Steve Diamond had said... Last week you said that Steve Diamond had said...
Gave him his starts. So, his big year was not last season when Diamond came in, the season before that.
Okay.
But...
So 22, 23.
Yeah, 20-something starts. Okay.
20, so I've got in front. So that season he had 21 games, 9 starts.
21, yeah. But only 7 starts in the Premiership, 11 from the bench. So not a club stalwart by any stretch. And then Diamond comes in 23-24, and he gets the last 7 starts consecutively under Diamond for that season.
Did that coincide with Mickey Young leaving the club?
I have no idea.
Getting injured?
Or Diamond's getting rid of Mickey
maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe.
Who knows? But I just want to clarify that is definitely true that Diamond found him languishing in the squad and promoted him to where he is today, which unfortunately did not work out too well against Gloucester.
Well, actually, I'm just looking back. His best season was actually the 17-18 season.
Was it really?
Yes, which is the first season he went to Newcastle.
Well,
he played 22 games in that.
Yeah, so
I didn't even. I wouldn't.
Well, he's not really the interesting character.
I genuinely thought he was a new signing.
Yeah, I did as well.
Over the last couple of years, so I have no idea.
So, would you care to guess who the other scrum halves were starting ahead of him? So I've got 5 off the top of my head.
Oh my
God! But I would never get these guys. I mean, bearing in mind how much Premiership rugby that I watch.
Yeah.
This is how little we pay attention to Newcastle.
Is this in the 2023 season? 22-23 season?
Yeah, from 20... Yeah, let's go from 22-23 season. From 5th of February 22, right, there's been at least 5 scrum halves starting ahead of him.
Okay.
Who are they?
Mickey Young.
Yep. It's not easy, is it?
Oh my god.
Who plays 9 for Newcastle? It's embarrassing.
This is embarrassing.
I don't know if it's embarrassing for us or is it embarrassing for Newcastle?
It's both. It is both.
Yeah, 2 things can be true at once.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Come on.
I'm trying to think of any. I just have Mickey Young, but he wasn't even there for that. He was there at that point.
Do you remember Hugh O'Sullivan?
No, I do not.
Hugh O'Sullivan had a lot of starts. So there's Hugh O'Sullivan. Let's see if I've got another guy here whose name I can't quite remember. So I'm just going to have a look if he was... Oh, Louis Schroeder.
Schroeder, okay. Who's now at Bath.
Yep.
Yeah, I should have got Schroeder.
This one you might have heard of, but maybe not. Cameron Nordilli.
Nordelli.
Kelementi.
Yes, the double-barreled name. Yes.
The other 2? The very famous James Beckett. And Josh Barton. How many hours of podcasting would we need to do to get James Beckett, Josh Barton?
We just never would.
Yeah.
We'd need infinite monkeys with infinite typewriters to get those names.
Yeah, but actually, I really enjoy. I mean, sometimes I just like looking over old team sheets.
Yeah,
I'm looking over the old Newcastle team sheets. I know none of these boys, and I don't know what happened to any of them.
I blame. So it is our fault, but I also
it kind of is their fault. Isn't
I blame Newcastle. I'm going to blame Newcastle.
Yeah,
at least, and that is one of the good things that Dimes has done. I'm not always Dimes' biggest fan.
Well, you're wrong.
And we can touch on his and their performance this week, but everyone is talking about Newcastle, because Dimes is there, because Dimes is giving interviews and some dynamite catchphrases, statements, sound bites. So he's very good from that perspective.
He is. Well, I mean, Newcastle did play this weekend. Whether we want to talk about them or not, I don't know, because they didn't do much of note.
They scored 1 try through one of the 4 players who other teams would actually like to steal, Blamire. Other than that, Gloucester, I've seen the highlights of this. Gloucester played some nice rugby. Again, Max Llewellyn looking pretty good.
Max Llewellyn's excellent, isn't he?
Thorley and Christian Wade looking handy out wide. Anscombe and Thomas Williams, the Welsh pairing. The halfbacks looking very nice. This is a back row of just below England guys in Jack Clement, Zach Mercer and Lewis Ludlow.
Yes, it is,
That's
perfectly below England.
Yeah, perfectly just below England, much to Zach Mercer's increasing frustrations, but he's not quite there.
You can see when you watch Zach Mercer why he's not fancied by England, though, can't you?
Yeah.
There are things about his game which I just don't like. I mean, he's not a bad player.
He's a good player.
He's a great player.
He's a flair player, but he's not. He doesn't really strike me as a system player.
He's just such an individual.
Yes, yeah. And it's interesting that he's at Gloucester because for the past few years, he's been a bit against the Gloucester culture. Mm. Now the way that Gloucester are playing with Anscombe Anscombe and Williams at the halfbacks, and they seem to be trying to run everything from everywhere. He's perfect for it.
I just feel that with Gloucester, you've got this evolution where you have a coach in. Oh, why do names escape me? What the hell?
Yeah, what's his name? Skivington.
Yeah, goodness me.
Skivington.
Who's come from London Irish, and like his thing is a line out. And the next thing you know, they're dynamite at line outs and driving mauls.
Yeah.
And it's all systems and process. And as he's got more fed up and life has chipped away at him, he's got to the point now he's gone, just do what you want. Just do exactly what you want. And they're gone, yeah, okay then.
We'll wing it. We'll run everything from everywhere.
We've got some Welsh lads who are about to retire, and they just want a final run out. In playing so like some of these guys in Gloucester look like they're there for their last season playing twos just to have a run out with their mates and enjoy it. Do you like the ridiculously stacked third team or the ridiculously stacked second team? That's basically what we have here. Thomas Williams scored another. He must be Premiership top try scorer at the moment. He must.
He can't be far off. Ibitoye's scored a few. Malin's scored a few of those. He's now injured.
I can't remember the last game Thomas Williams didn't score a try. I mean, genuinely, I can't remember. In fact, I'm not sure if there's been a game this season. Well, certainly not one that I've watched where he hasn't. He's got a couple against Bath. He got one yesterday. I'm sure he got one the week before. He must be top.
He won't be far off.
Mm.
I'm trying to look it up, but Premiership Rugby is not always the best website to navigate.
Now, bearing in mind, Gloucester have only got 2 wins under their belt. They're currently on 15 points, and they're sixth in the table. Now, that's pretty good, isn't it? I mean, I think that they might be on something here, which is just go for bonus points, and wins will come. Because where are they failing here? They're failing basically on conceding so many through their defence. That can be fixed. And it wouldn't surprise me if it does get fixed. And if they fix that, they're like a budget Bristol.
They are like a budget Bristol. They do have to fix that because they have the worst points against in the league, even worse than Newcastle's. Considering they've just played Newcastle, Newcastle only put 7 points on them.
So it can't get much worse, can it?
They have hit rock bottom on the defence. It's got to get better.
It's outstanding for their for their attack. I mean, I think there's a real story here. Like, if they could, I mean,
well, they're third in attack, so they're ahead of Leicester, they're ahead of Saracens, they're ahead of Harlequins, they're ahead of Northampton. In their attack, they're only behind Bristol and Bath in their attack, but they are the worst in the league defensively.
Yeah, so tighten up on that slightly, get a few more wins. I mean, they could be right in playoff contention, which would be frightening. And then all you need to do is get a lucky win. Then you're in the final. You know, first play of the game, Will Butt gets a red card. All of a sudden, you've got numbers against a team that you've already beaten before. You know, and if you're applying the
Dean Ryan logic.
Yeah, the Dean Ryan maths to this. Gloucester are champions. By May, Gloucester are champions. This year was Gloucester's year, and the 2 players they needed were 2 ageing Welsh halfbacks.
Yes.
That's my story of the season.
According to Wikipedia, because I can't find it on Premier Rugby's website, the top try scorers are currently shared between Gabriel Ibitoye, Max Llewellyn, Max Malins, and Emmanuel Feo-Waboso. All on 5 tries.
Oh, my word. So, actually, the guy who scored more tries than Thomas Williams is actually part of Gloucester.
Yes. Yeah.
Incredible stuff.
He got a hat-trick in one game. Was that last week?
And he scored this week as well, I think.
He's bagged a few.
Yeah.
He didn't score this week. Clement, Williams, Blake, Singleton, Wade, Hathaway. So not even a try this week.
Sure he did. No, he did. He did score. I'm sure he did. Keep reading it until you find his name.
Okay, I'll try again. Jack Clement, Thomas Williams, Seb Blake, Jack Singleton, Christian Wade, Josh Hathaway.
Thomas Williams, 12 minutes.
12, yeah, I thought you were talking about Max Llewellyn.
Oh, I thought you were talking about... sorry.
Sorry.
There you go.
Sorry. Different conversation. So I didn't see that. because I was watching the other game at the time, which was Bath versus Sale Sharks.
Oh, dearie me.
Now, you were obviously watching another Sale FC, during this game. I was watching it in real time. It wasn't great for Sale. Now, last week for Sale was dreadful, really dreadful.
Mm-hmm.
This week, they made a massive improvement. They doubled the amount of time it took the opposition to get a try bonus point. Went from 23 minutes to 46 minutes. They held out Bath for.
I mean, these... Did I say it last week or not? But Sale have got a handful of lads here that can only do one thing at a time. Do you know? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if you watch, I don't know, pick a, I'm not picking on this guy. It's just the fact that it's the first name on the team sheet, literally. I don't know, Finn Baxter, or Bevan.
Yes,
right, does everything.
Yeah,
I mean, he might not do everything perfectly, but he does everything.
Carries, passes, scrummages very hard, hits hard, all around the park.
Simon McIntyre scrummages hard.
Yes.
Simon McIntyre, scrummages hard. James Harper is there to scrimmage hard.
That did not go well this week.
Goodness me.
He had a real tough old time.
Like, this guy was meant to be the future of the England tight head position. I have my questions.
Yeah, that's not happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
So he's against a very experienced front row of Obano, Tom Dunn, and Thomas de Toy, lining up directly against Obano. And Harper's quite a big boy.
Huge.
Beno Obano is quite short. He's about 5'9", Beno Obano.
But he's broad, though.
Oh, he's so broad. He's
do you reckon he weighs as much? Probably doesn't, actually.
120
120 kilograms, apparently.
How much is James Harper?
115, according to this, but that's not true.
That can't be right.
He's massive.
That's not right.
Now, Harper's only 6'2", I think.
Okay, but he's still
massive.
He's still 5 inches taller than
Harper looked intimidated.
Obano.
I don't mind saying, but Harper looked intimidated.
So he really struggled at scrum time, and the first 3 tries he was either out of position or missed the tackle for the first 3 tries as well.
Yeah.
So he was taken off after 29 minutes, which was the correct call.
It was correct call. I completely agree.
He then, Opoku Fojo did bruise his ribs or back. Flat seems to think it was his back, the way he was walking off. So Harper did come back on and was okay for the last 15 minutes or so.
How embarrassing. I mean, I think you'd try extra hard in that situation. You would just...
It was actually quite good for him, because getting taken off after 29 minutes and then you've got the bus journey back. Yeah, you do nothing else. You've got the bus journey back. For him to make a bit of amends towards the end of the game.
I completely agree. I think...
It was good for him.
In terms of Harper, I think he's one of Sale's more promising youngsters. Although, he's only 24. He's had a good season. He stepped down a season, playing a lot of FC, and then has come back up. He's just not kicking on enough for me. But back to my thing about, Sale do one thing at a time. Who's scared of Ben Bamber and Hiron Andrews in the loose? I mean, maybe they can run fast, but they're there for lineouts, right? Particularly Hiron Andrews. I mean, he's built like a stick.
Yeah.
And then you got Van Rijn, Dugdale. I mean, Dupree. Dupree does one thing. He carries the ball. That's what he does. Like, he gets in the way of people, and he gets in the way of people hard. Dugdale's probably the most rounded of those players. But everyone else in there, you go, he does that. And then you look at Ted Hill, and he does everything. Guy Pepper does everything. Miles Reed does a lot. Thomas de Toy's running in from all sorts of angles. Tom Dunn is Mr. All Action. And no, you're not going to compete, are you, with that pack?
Yeah.
And you need more.
And they didn't. And there's two big things to mention. One, we've touched on it. The scrum and up front, Sale were shown up a bit. They Bath manhandled them. And then in the backs, Sale's attack was woeful. The only try that they scored was when Bath were down to 14 men, when Will Butt's red card had not been equalled up by the red card to what's his name, the Nye Thomas.
Yeah.
And that was just about the only time. There was so much. You were talking before about teams being too flat, and like Sale FC being too flat. there was times in this game, first phase ball, Sale was so deep. So,
really?
Yeah.
I did not notice this.
Dupree was taking the ball almost 10 metres back from the gain line and then passing to Luke James, who was almost another 10 metres back from Dupree, so like 20 metres behind. So you've gone 2 passes and the defence has just had time to slowly amble up, and you're then behind all your supporting players.
Yeah, maybe this is harsh, but I don't think any of the Sale players this year are substantially better than last year. Guzwar, maybe, actually. Aaron Reid, maybe, actually. The rest of them aren't. They look a step off. Everyone looks a step off. All the guys that have come in to replace other guys, like Ben Bamber, I think will be good one day, not yet. It's just, it's just not as strong a squad as it's been for the last two years. And I don't know Sanderson is in a position to make them much better, actually. They seem to have all the all of the downsides of Leicester Tigers with none of the upsides.
And they were missing a few players this week. Obviously, they're missing George Ford, who's injured. They're missing a brace of Curries.
Yep.
With England.
You talk about all action can do everything.
Yeah.
That's what you want. There we go. That fixes a lot of problems right there. You talk about... why can't I remember any names today? Bevan Rod. Who's the hooker? Who's the hooker? He's in England. Cowan Dickey.
Cowan Dickey, yes. So, missing those. Missing Roebuck. Niaslevu not playing.
Well, let's not draw any conclusions on how good or bad he will be.
So they're missing players, but it was a poor performance after last week's dreadful performance. Bath, on the other hand, did very, very well. Bath did everything that was asked of them. They played very aggressively up front. They played some nice stuff, some lovely offloading, handling, distributing stuff from Finn Russell. Will Muir, great to see Will Muir back.
Isn't it so good?
Although he took a head knock in that Nye Thomas red card. So hopefully, he's got a few weeks off now anyway, but it's great to see. He scored after, 4 minutes or something like that?
Yeah.
No, not even 4 minutes. 1 minute. It was 65 seconds. It was after. What am I saying? Business as usual for Bath. Nice win at home. Relatively easy. Missing a few handy players as well.
Who is missing for Bath?
Lawrence.
Yep. Ajomo's not around, but that's because of injury, is it?
Ajomo's injury, and indeed he was referenced as not considered in the England squad.
Yeah.
Barbari's missing, but not with the England squad. Underhill with England. Ben Spencer.
Oh, yeah. Actually, they are missing quite a few.
Yeah. Lawrence, and that's it. So not... Oh, and Charlie Ewells as well. So missing 5 players, maybe?
Yeah, but they don't really... this starting 15 looks very powerful.
It's a good...
Oh, I tell you who else is missing. You mentioned Stewart. Will Stewart?
I didn't mention Stewart, but yes, you're right. Stewart.
But
Thomas Dutoit is... he's the first choice anyway. So,
yes.
The lad off the bench, Billy Seller, I like the look of him. He had a few nice dynamic carries. Scrummaging didn't get noticeably worse when he came on. He looks like he's a handy player. He will be a handy player.
Yeah. Bath, would you consider them the favourites?
Billy Seller is only 19 as well.
Oh, my God. Is he Billy as in like Bill Matter is a Billy?
He is. He's Willy Kesser, Billy Seller.
Ah, that makes sense.
So let's just see if I can find out. He is England under 20s anyway.
So, what would be your criticisms of Bath as they are?
In this game or generally?
To win the league, yeah. Why can't they? What is it? What's wrong with this team?
Not much. I think this is the year for Bath to do it. Really, I think.
Discover Hydro, the best kept secret in fitness. Hydro is the state-of-the-art at-home rower that engages 86% of your muscles, delivering the ultimate full-body workout in just 20 minutes. From advanced to beginner, Hydro has over 500 classes shot worldwide and taught by Olympians and world-class athletes. For a 30-day risk-free trial, go to hydro.com and use code ROW450 to save $450 on a Hydro Pro rower. That's HYDROW.com, code ROW450.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Maybe you'd argue a bit of fragility in some key positions. I know we've mentioned before that if you can get out a back row of Ted Hill, Sam Underhill and Alfie Barbary, ideally circa 2022 or 2021 Alfie Barbary, Wasps variant Alfie Barbary, that is a dynamite back row.
Yeah.
But the number of times you'll field that back row, and certainly field that back row for 70 minutes of the match, is going to be limited. Other than that, not a lot. They were short in the final last year, so they were the second best team last season, and I think they'll be right up there this season.
Yeah. So my idea, like my dream kind of team, like my idea of a great team, is like Saracens, and to be fair, Leinster too. And what I mean by that is maybe Leinster, maybe these are bad examples because they had so much quality throughout them, but late stage Saracens, not African farmland Saracens, right? But even late stage Saracens, like one guy goes missing, another guy comes in, the system works perfectly. Do you see what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Even though you have phenomenally talented players, even if Owen Farrell wasn't available, Good would step up, and everything works perfectly because they're a great team. Yeah. My idea of not a terrible team, but a team I don't like, would be the best incarnation of Wasps, not under Sean Edwards, Warren Gatland, but the one after that, when they borrowed all the money to buy a team.
When they had one of Curtly Beale or Villy
Cipriani
or Piatau playing, with Sippers playing, I know the team.
All of that crew, amazing rugby, outstanding to watch, but it was all powered by stars and none of it was powered by the team. And I think that Bath have got a slight star power issue, which is should somebody go missing, they're not Saracens. So they need to be all hands on deck, ready to go for the final. If they were missing a Finn Russell or a Spencer or maybe even a Hill and an Underhill, which with those two boys could absolutely be the case, they've got worlds of trouble because they're so character dominant. They've got great players, but in a way it's a weakness.
So I think that's definitely true of old Bath teams, and it's definitely true of Finn Russell, because Finn Russell is so unique in world rugby.
Yes.
I don't think it's as true of the other players, because as an example, this week Underhill is unavailable with England. Guy Pepper's
outstanding,
magnificent,
actually, to be fair.
And Miles Reid can play across the back row, and Ted Hill can play across the back row, and you can bring Kurt Sear,
you're
Jacko
right.
Kurt Sear, and you've got Josh Bayliss who can come in and cover those. So Finn Russell and Spencer are probably the two most important, with Finn Russell being a significant notch above Spencer, or indeed almost anyone on planet Earth, in terms of the uniqueness and the value that he adds. And I think they've got some really good options across their team. I very much like Bath this year. Whether they can do it though is another matter.
But look, if the criticism of your team is your players are too good, it's not the worst place to be, is it?
No, and they were very good, more than enough this week. There was 2 red cards in this game. We should just touch on them.
Who were the red cards? Will Butt. Yes, the Will Butt one was a red card.
So I would have also... I think it's right that it was a red card, or certainly, let me rephrase that. The rules as written were correctly applied, so it was a red card. I did... Flats in comms had some sympathy because of the dynamic situation that there was two kind of moving bodies underneath the massive sailman LaRue.
Mm-hmm.
LaRue Ruitz, was it? The guy who got dumped by Will Butt on his head. So I could kind of see it, either a mitigation or a reason why it could be stepped down to a yellow. But I don't really have a problem with it.
Yeah.
And the Nye Thomas one was clumsy rather than anything else, but it was a very bad head-on-head contact. So, yeah, fine.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Nye Thomas in real life?
He's not a big bloke. I don't think I've ever met him in real life.
Tiny.
Is he?
Absolutely tiny. I thought, like, what difference is it going to make if you join Dan Dupree in a tackle?
Well,
just stay out of it.
Yeah, the kind of, it was a bit news because Dan Dupree had already got him into touch.
I know.
It was, and it was a horrible thing for him to try and do because if he throws his body into those two, so there's, I don't know, over 220 kilograms travelling towards the line with those two, Dan Dupree and Will Muir. They're both big blokes. He's going to do absolutely nothing. And
the only way he could possibly hurt Will Muir is to hit his head.
Yeah,
and that's what he. But mind you,
with his own head,
because he didn't come off well from this challenge.
No, but he was never going to come off well from that challenge. There was no scenario where Nye Thomas comes out of that well.
Yeah, no, there isn't. Is there? I'd give him a red card for stupidity. You just can't do that.
Yes. And then the other game, Bristol Northampton.
I actually watched all of this, but weirdly, it didn't really stand out to me because I learned nothing about either team.
We know what we know. We knew that beforehand. I thought Bristol did well. So when Saints go 2 tries up in the first 20 minutes, they were 12-0 up, and you could see that putting some pressure on Bristol, particularly because they've had a very bad record at home this season. And it didn't. They trusted the process, as Mr. Lamb would say, and kept doing what they do, which includes outrageous offloads from Ibitoye, some brilliant handling, passing, and running from AJ McGinty. And I never thought... AJ McGinty looks... this is the best I've seen him play. This might be the best he's played since Connacht in 2016.
No, I disagree with that, actually. So there were times in AJ McGinty's career at Sale where he's looked great, but only for 1 or 2 games because he gets injured. So I've seen him do this frequently. He is not athletic in any way, shape, or form.
But he's running.
Oh, he's running because he's deceptive. Like, he's super deceptive. The way he moves the ball, the way he moves... Football parlances, we're talking Teddy Sheringham. I mean, honestly,
he's looking more like a prime Ronaldo. The way that he's moving at the moment, he's playing some beautiful rugby.
He's playing great rugby because he's a great rugby player. But I've got a story actually, which I'll tell you after this. But he's not athletic. He is slow. So he'll break the line and he'll dazzle you with his ball skills, and then he gets through. I mean, it's a testament to how good he is actually that he's making so many yards. But yeah, I saw this frequently at Sale. But then he'd get injured. He'd pull a hamstring, or he would tackle too hard. I don't know actually if this is the case, but I always criticised him at Sale for doing too many things. Whether that was a culture there or what, I don't know. But he would put his body in harm's way where it didn't need to be, and he was too important, and that's why he spent so much time getting over shoulder injuries or whatever it may be. I think his shoulder came out 2 or 3 times at Sale. And maybe I'm being biased here, but I don't think I've seen him do that for Bristol, which is the correct move.
It is, definitely. He's playing great rugby.
He is.
Ibitoye is playing great rugby. Ravuvu was exciting. Another powerful, very powerful centre, outside back.
I enjoyed Richard Lane.
Richard Lane's a very good player. Very, very good player. Good all-round, good rugby brain, can kick, can run, can do everything. Very nice player. And I'll tell you who's playing well as well, who, again, rolling back the years to the Connacht days, Kieran Marmion.
Now, if AJ McGinty is not fast, Kieran Marmion is very fast. That's exactly how I describe Kieran Marmion, as a very fast individual. Yeah, he's nippy, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's been given a bit of freedom to do so, to take quick taps, to go on his own, and looking good.
On the Northampton side, 2 players really stood out for me. Josh Kemeny was ace.
He is a good signing.
He's all action all the time.
Yeah.
And the other one is George Hendy. I don't think George Hendy can be that far away from England recognition.
Maybe not. He's so unusual, though. So he's just such an unusual player. He's so unorthodox. He's got to do that. He's got to get a starting point in the Northampton team. Which, if the England boys are there, if Slightholme, Freeman, and Furbank are there, he doesn't have a starting berth.
I disagree with you. I think he's not been starting because injury. If you remember, if you go back to last season, he was fairly regular and scoring a lot of tries. Then he gets injured, and he only comes back, I think, for the final when did he get 2 tries or 1 try?
He scored some very important tries in both Europe and the knockout stages, but predominantly off the bench, I think.
Yeah. If he gets a run, he will keep his place.
But then who do you lose from those?
Not James, not Furbank. It would probably be that's not James and Furbank. So
James, you mean Freeman?
Why did I say James? Do you know why? Yes. I'm saying James because I'm thinking of the. For some reason, I always get the scrum half, Tom James. Freeman, confused because they're tall. Yes, you're absolutely right. Freeman and Furbank. So it's not those 2.
And then it's Slightholme, who's last season's top try scorer.
Yeah, him
in the league.
Him.
I think he's. I think at the moment he will be when everyone's fit for Northampton, and I do include Dingwall in that because Freeman. You could push Freeman into 13, which they have done a couple of times recently. But I think Dingwall and Hutchinson will probably be the first choice, 12 and 13, with Freeman, Furbank, and Slightholme, with then Hendy off the bench. So I don't think he breaks into that Northampton team. So I don't think he's quite near enough to England yet. Which is not a bad thing if you've got 3 of your back 3 playing for England already. That is a problem. 4 if you count Dingwall in there. That is a problem. So you don't want Hendy to be playing for England either.
Yeah, no. Well, Northampton certainly don't.
No, definitely not. I'll tell you the other player who did stand out. Actually 2.
Can I guess?
Yes, go on.
Tom Pearson?
Tom Pearson was
Henry
ace.
Pollock.
Correct.
Yeah.
Make up the whole back 3, the Northampton back row.
We have literally just in the whole back row.
All 3 of them.
Henry Pollock, I'm loving this guy every single week.
Henry Pollock and Guy Pepper for the future.
On Pollock, right? I think he's bringing out the best in the rest of the back row. Because I imagine that you're Tom Pearson, right? You've come with this huge reputation, and then you put in the Northampton back row. Northampton expect more than London Irish, and let's face it, he hasn't done it. He has not done it until very recently when he started to come into his own a bit. He's nowhere near the Tom Pearson that we saw for London Irish for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. Then imagine you get a 19-year-old showing you how it's done. That's got to ruffle your feathers. It's got to ruffle everyone's feathers. And the way he's just so aggressive and just leads things. I don't think he's a natural leader. I don't think he's quoting Churchill or any such thing. But just the way he plays the game, it must make everyone think, fucking pull up your socks. Like, I've got to do better than this. There's a 19-year-old there leveling people. Like, he wants the ball all the time. He wants to hit contact all the time. I feel like I've said this last week, but I just love the guy. I absolutely love him.
Yes. Give me more of those boys.
Yeah.
I want to see more of them. It's ace that they're getting the opportunity now. And Pollock, maybe not quite yet, but next few years, he must be pushing for England.
I completely agree. I mean,
maybe just like Tim Cocker always says, you win everything with the kids. Get all of the kids in all of the time, every time.
Absolutely right. Henry Pollock playing 10. Talking about violent 10s, guess who got a yellow card this week?
And a try. His first try for Racing 92.
Yeah.
Owen Farrell. Now I've seen the try.
Have you? Was it a good try?
Nice control from about 40 yards out. But Grubber kicks and controls it through, and then picks up with a few yards to go.
So
very nice try. I've looked for the yellow card. I've not seen it yet.
No, they'll probably cover that up. You
Cover
won't
it
be
up.
able to Google it in a few days' time.
World Rugby will throw him in the slammer.
BBC Verify will
lock away the key.
We'll run a story about how it didn't happen. Well, what do? They beat Perpignan at the third bottom side by 7 points, which is exactly what you'd expect a mid-table team to do.
Tim will be delighted that you've mentioned some French rugby.
Because
he loves French rugby. That's
all
that's all he
okay,
watches these days.
Yeah, it is.
He's too cool for Premiership.
He likes French rugby and South African rugby, and that's it. That is it. Talking of which, any URC chat? And if there is, make it brief.
No, Ulster did not play a game this week. They were not 19 points up against Cardiff and threw it away. That did not happen. Nothing else happening in the URC either.
Oh, wonderful. Well, that's I'm glad we don't have to go into much URC. I see that Toulouse have just smashed Toulon.
I've just seen that scoreline. That's quite big. 57 points to 5.
Now, sometimes in life you've got to do things that everyone wants you to do, but you have no interest in. And today is one of those days. There's some England stuff, is there?
There is England stuff. I thought you, the man who is self-styled Mr. Business of Rugby, would find this England squad announcement fascinating.
What is fascinating about England?
So, well, the England squad is not that fascinating. It's in itself because it's much of a muchness. There was a squad announced about a month ago. A few of the guys who were in that squad have dropped out, but almost entirely because people who were injured in the previous squad have come into the squad. So the squad itself is not that interesting. What is interesting is we have got the first announcements of the England EPS, the enhanced EPS. So this is the, we touched on this a little while ago, as part of the
halves.
Professional Game Board, Professional Game Agreement, whatever it's called. England have got more direct control over the players, but they are also centrally contracting players to, I can't remember the exact figure, it's something like 140 grand a year of guaranteed money. They can call up to 25 of these players, and we said, certainly I said, I would be astonished if they immediately name 25. They will name somewhere between kind of 12 and 20 of these players, partly to give them options for the future, and also partly because they will then have a nice big carrot for anyone who's playing well to say, you keep that up, keep performing, keep working on X, Y, Z. You've got one of these with your name on it. If you keep performing, and that is exactly what they've done. So they've announced 17 enhanced EPS contracts.
Okay, and who are the 17 lucky fellas?
Well, let's start off with who they're not. So positionally, so there's 17, and you might think, okay, there's 15 players in starting 15, so the starting lineup plus 2 others. Yeah. That's not how it is.
Great.
So, for one thing, there isn't a tight head prop.
Do you know, I'm not surprised.
So I'm not surprised, and it's something that we flagged as it's a massive problem. It's been a massive problem for many years for England. The fact that 37-year-old Dan Cole is still in the squad, who's a good player, and he is one of the 3 best tight heads in England. But that in itself is a problem.
Yes.
Where would Dan Cole be in the ranking, particularly 37-year-old Dan Cole, if he was South African? Would he make the top 10 South African tight heads? Probably
No.
top 5, maybe not. Certainly not
top 10.
Certainly not top 5.
No.
Not even close. So yeah, that's interesting and a problem. There is only one loose head. There's 2 hookers. So the one loose head is Ellis Genge. 2 hookers is, you can probably guess these.
George and his stablemate.
Theo Dant. There's 3 second rows, although they can kind of all play back row as well.
Marrow, George and Chisholm.
George Martin and...
George Martin, yeah.
Yeah, Ollie Chesham. Now that in itself is interesting because Ollie Chesham is out for 3 months.
Oh, brilliant.
Blown his knee out in training. which is bad because he's had other problems.
Yep.
So do you know who's been called up? So this is not to the...
Chollials?
Chollials is already in the squad.
Nope, don't know.
Alex Coles and Ted Hill.
Interesting. Ted Hill starts. Ted Hill just needs a sniff of that starting jersey. Done. Game over for everyone else.
We've only got 2 back rows. Do you want to guess who the 2 back rows are?
Tom Curry?
Tom Curry.
Now, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think Tom Curry being Tom Curry, they're looking at him and thinking, we need to manage him.
It may well be that.
It's not the fact that 7s are rare. It's not the fact. It's none of that stuff. It's like, we just need to manage that guy.
Yeah.
And the other one might be Underhill. No. Hold that thought. Ben Curry. No, Underhill.
It is Ben Earl.
Oh. Right, okay.
Who is, well, he is one of the best players. He's been one of the best players for the past couple of years for England.
Did you say 7s or just back rows in general?
Back rows.
So
that's
sorry.
just across the back row. No, so
on.
only 2 back rows.
Yeah.
There's 1-9.
Mitchell.
Yeah, who's injured and not considered for the squad. So Portfleet, Spencer and Randall. I guess this could be their audition for one of those spots, you could argue.
Mm-hmm.
Then 3 fly halves.
Ford, Smith.
Correct, yeah. And then the rest of it is basically the starting lineup of the backs. So Lawrence, Henry Slade, Freeman, Faye Waboso, Furbank.
Faye Waboso's got a contract?
Yes.
Wow.
Central contract.
Wow. I mean, why? What does he... Why? This is ridiculous.
Because he is worth a lot of money, probably.
Hang on a minute. Right. Let's just think about this. That's a nonsense, right? Because you would have these contracts for someone like, I guess, an Owen Farrell or one of those second rows that are quite well established. The reason you don't want Faye Waboso's got to learn his trade under Rob Baxter. I don't see how England are going to help his development in any way. He's not the finished product yet. Like, if these guys are the finished product, then by all means put them on the contract. So I don't think that Jamie George is going to get much better anytime soon. He just needs managing. Ben Curry just needs managing. I would say the guys that shouldn't have these contracts are probably, I guess George Morton is good enough now to have a contract. Chesham, I don't think, deserves a contract because he's still developing. I don't think England are the best people to develop young talent. They're the best, maybe, potentially, at preserving and conserving their talent once it's fully developed. So Faye Waboso is a nonsense call. Plus, there's a load of competition for that space.
So I don't think the contracts preclude Faye Waboso continuing to be developed by Exeter and Baxter. He will very much continue on that trajectory.
But it's the RFU that get the final say.
They do.
On their conditioning and on their game time.
They do, yeah.
So I just don't think it's necessary.
But that doesn't...
I know what you're saying.
It doesn't stop him. But the other side is you are looking at it, what you've described is looking at it from more of a Jamie George or George Ford or even a Henry Slade type situation where you've got these experienced players who might be considering going to France because they want one last paycheck, and you can also manage them their game time to keep them fresh. That is definitely, unquestionably part of this. Like Tom Curry is another example of that, even though he's not actually that old. But the other, and particularly I think Faye Waboso falls into this category, is just he's such a talented individual. Like he is so talented that they want to be able to lock him away for England and not have someone offering Cheslin Colby money in France. Because there could...
presumably Cheslin Colby money in France would still get him to sack off his contract.
Well,
They'd have to offer. I mean, I guess all this does is it makes people want to offer him Cheslin Colby money, whereas before they didn't.
And maybe they'd have to buy the RFU out of the contract.
Maybe, but if you got Cheslin Colby money,
yeah. But
Cheslin Colby could buy him.
Cheslin Colby for Faye Waboso, and then Cheslin Colby money again to the RFU.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, okay.
So it's just the draw of talent, and I think Faye Waboso in that regard.
But didn't Toulon pay £1 million to lose? They actually paid them £1 million.
Yeah, and I guess they are.
And I assume that Colby was paid okay.
He was paid.
He was looked after, wasn't
very
he?
well. Yeah. But in the scenario prior to Faye Waboso getting this contract, Exeter get some cash, RFU get nothing. Now, if that does happen, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but in that scenario, the RFU do actually get something out of it as well.
Okay, so have I told you my Matt Postlethwaite story about Matt Proudfoot?
Don't think so.
Right, I will regale you with this tale one more time, and then I'll tell you a story about the conversation I had with somebody in rugby. I can't remember who it is, but it doesn't really matter who it was because the point is the same, right? So I'm always surprised about how timid rugby players are. The biggest, strongest blokes, and you see them in the pub or whatnot in front of their mates. They're like super alpha, but they're also incredibly timid. Incredibly timid.
Because they're young men.
Yeah. So during just after COVID, when we were all back in stadiums, it was quite cool because I got to watch Sale Sharks as part of the media, and the only other people allowed in were people who were working. And that would include Eddie Jones, and it would include Matt Proudfoot. So if you looked around the stadium, anyone who's in there is important or working. Mm-hmm. So, no crowd. And I sat next to Matt Postlethwaite, who I did my RFU level 2 with. Mm-hmm. And at the time, he was second row at Sale. And 3 rows down from us, Eddie Jones and Matt Proudfoot. And I'm like, wow, Eddie Jones and Matt Proudfoot there. I need to speak to these guys. And I said to Matt, I was like, Matt Proudfoot and Eddie Jones are there. Anyway, Eddie gets up and disappears, and Matt's watched the whole game. I was like, you need to go and talk to him. He goes, oh, no, I can't. It's like, just tap him on the shoulder and say, hi, I'm Matt. I play second row at Sale. How are you doing? Who are you watching? Just strike a conversation. You're not telling him to pick you. And let's be honest, he's never picking you anyway. Like, he doesn't know who you are. You're never going to be good enough to be picked for England currently. But if you get in front of him right now and say, hi, you don't know what doors can be opened. And what's the worst that could happen? Because you're never going to England. I mean, he might leave an impression on him. Matt Proudfoot might go and work in the Stormers, and one day Matt Postlethwaite might go, do you know what? I wouldn't mind a job in the Stormers. You just don't know, do you?
Did you also tell him that he should, when he speaks to Eddie Jones, he should mention that he's got a Welsh grandfather?
Yes, exactly right. So in the end, I went, Matt, this is pathetic. I'll go and talk to him. So I get up, say, hi, I'm JB. You're Matt Proudfoot, right? And I sit next to him, and we spoke for the entire half time, and most of the second half, just about who's good, who's bad. I really like Matt Proudfoot. He loves his rugby. Absolutely loves it. Well, how good he was as a coach, I don't know.
World Cup winning coach.
Right?
World Cup winning scrum coach. With maybe the best scrum that's ever been assembled.
But superb when it comes to actually loving the game. Superb company. And midway through, I said to Matt Proudfoot, Matt, can I introduce you to what I think is England's finest prospect at second row? This is Matt Postlethwaite. He plays here. And I couldn't get Matt Postlethwaite to say anything of note, really, to Matt Proudfoot. Now, why do I mention this? Well, because I brought this up to, I know who I was talking to, a player agent friend of mine. I was like, why do players not establish where they are in the pecking order by phoning the coach? So, like, if you're going to make a decision about your livelihood, you should phone the coach and say, look, am I in or am I out? Why don't they do this? Why don't they open dialogue with the coach all the time? Why do they phone him out of the blue and say, look, I'm Jack Clement. I play for Gloucester. I don't know if you've seen me yet, but I'd like you to see me. What do I need to do? Right? Because then he'll remember Jack Clement. Right? And you know what the answer was?
Nervous?
No, the answer was no, you should never do that because the coaches want you to believe in yourself and back yourself. And if you're phoning them, you're not backing yourself. I was like, no, this can't be true. This cannot be true.
I find that Yeah.
No, but this is... Do you know, every player that I've asked about it will never phone the coach. It's the first thing that I would do is phone the coach. Well, why would you not?
Yeah.
But, you know, and it's a serious thing. Like, it's such deference to the coach. Like, they just won't do it. So, anyway, getting back to my Fair Robosa point, right? Which is, like, why are the RFU not waiting to see just how he responds? So a lot of these lads wouldn't phone the coach, wouldn't phone the England setup to say, I'm thinking of going overseas. Do you want to keep me? Because it's more that, actually. I'm thinking about going overseas. Do you want to keep me? Because that indicates that they don't back themselves to play for England.
Yeah.
So if that's a danger with Fair Robosa, why not just see if he backs himself to play for England? See if he signs his next contract. See if he's serious about committing to the England team.
But that is a bit of a risk if someone's offering him £800,000 a year to go to France.
It is a risk, but that's the whole point. If he goes to France, he didn't back himself.
No,
So-
he just wants more money. He backs himself to get England.
yeah, but that's the argument for all of them, right? They're going to get
It's
more money in France, so he didn't back himself to stay in England.
No,
unless
but
you're saying it's so much money.
It's so much more money. Yeah,
But in that case, he's going to go anyway.
Not if he's on this central contract.
No, what, for 140 quid? 140 quid. 140,000 next to 800,000.
Yeah, but he signed on to it.
Just sign off it. Go
Pay himself off it. Go and manage a farm.
Yeah, go manage a farm.
Retire.
Exactly right.
What did Denny Solomona do? He retired from rugby league and went playing rugby union.
Yeah,
To get
exactly
out of
what he
his- Was it Castlefield?
And then Sale ended up...
Castleford. Why do I always say Castlefield? Castleford contract.
Sale and Castleford ended up arguing about who's going to pay the cost of the barrister bills.
Yeah.
Nobody went from that. And now Solomon is playing at Rosendale.
What a life.
What a life. I think he's only like 30. I think he might only be 32, you know.
I don't even. He was so young when he broke through. He was like 18 when he broke through. He might not even be 32.
At Castleford.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, Alex Sanderson has tried so hard with so many players.
Oh, it's his birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday, Denny.
Denny. He is 31 today.
Oh my God, is that all he is?
Yeah.
Oh,
Actually, no. Hang on. It's two different places. Google tells me his age is 30. So his birthday is 27th of October. Wikipedia says 27th of September. So
he is 31.
He is 31. Regardless of those, he was either 31 1 month ago or today.
So other than Sale Sharks, what links Denny Solomon and Moreland Yard? Do you know this story?
They both played for England.
Nope.
I both been partying with Tiny Temper.
It might have something to do with partying.
I don't know. I'm kind of laughing nervously as to where this could go. Go on, tell me.
I'm pretty sure that Moreland Yard's girlfriend left him for Denny Solomona when he played for Castleford.
Wow.
At Castleford. And so I think Moreland Yard... Did Denny show up first? Denny showed up first, and then when Moreland was parting with Tiny Temper, Moreland then signed on to Sale.
It's a sale.
But without any idea of like the team dynamic of how this would work. And the answer was, it's just going to work. But that's not the real story here. The real story is, how was she such a great talent spotter? I mean, she's with an England international, but she must know a thing or two about wing play to identify this young talent up in Castleford and go, that's the guy.
Steve Diamond should give her a job for Newcastle. Get some players.
Send her up and down the country looking for talented wingers. Sure, she can sniff them out, so, why not?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
So, yeah, that's the England squad, the EPS. The overall squad, no real surprises. It's good to see Roebuck's still in there, although I think his game time will be a bit limited.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see more of Luke Northmore. So Luke Northmore is the fourth centre. He's had bad injuries the last year or so, but he's very talented and can play in multiple positions across the back line. So Borthwick obviously likes him. I just want to see a bit more of him.
Now, at this point, it's only right of me to mention Tim has made an excellent video of the New Zealand team. I think.
Has he?
I'm pretty sure he has, and if he hasn't, he definitely will do. I'm sure he's done a video on the New Zealand squad announcement. You could tell me who's in the New Zealand squad. I couldn't tell you if it's a good squad or a bad squad. Do you know if it's a good squad or a bad squad?
I think it's kind of consistent with where the squad has been this year, which is a lot of talented, very experienced players are unavailable for a multitude of reasons following the World Cup last year. Mm-hmm. Therefore, they're still finding their feet a bit.
Okay, brilliant.
I've seen some of the highlights from the game yesterday morning where the All Blacks trounced Japan. Damien, and I've read a few bits in the New Zealand press. Damien McKenzie's not getting a particularly favourable write-up at 10 at the moment.
Do you think it's always really hard for the traditional second fiddle, or third fiddle, in case of Damien McKenzie, to become the number one guy? Because I think it's really difficult.
It can be. I think in his scenario... So, well, Marcus Smith is an example. He was third choice behind Farrell and Ford.
So
and
he's
coming up.
I don't accept that comparison because Marcus Smith is so much younger.
Yeah.
But when you're broadly the same peer group.
Well, he's quite a bit younger than Bowden Barrett.
Is he?
Yeah, maybe 6 years younger than Barrett.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Feels like he's been around for a long time.
In my head, Bowden Barrett's 33 and Damien McKenzie's maybe 27.
I would say he's about 28, 29. So it just feels like he's been around a long time.
Yeah, if he's 28, it's a 5-year difference. Yeah. But you are right with Richie Mo'unga. They're broadly the same age group. So yeah, that's fair. So I think with McKenzie though, it's more the fact that he's rarely specialised, as in he's so talented that he has played probably more of his games that I've seen him play for the Chiefs and when he's been around the All Black squad at 15. So he's not actually had that much, although I think the last couple of years he has played predominantly at 10.
So the guys that I think of are sort of like the guys that have been hanging on for the longest time, waiting for the incumbent to go, like TJ Perenara. He has had starts and he's a great player. I'd go straight to Roygaard or whoever the next 9 is.
Roygaard played, he's been injured. This is his first game against Japan, was his first game back. So he's a very talented
He's very
player.
good, isn't he?
He's very, very talented.
And yeah, I mean, I say this with complete ignorance of the New Zealand system. But if you've got a Perenara, you have to grow into that shirt with age. To be handed it when you're nearly 30 because the other guy is gone, you missed all of your development years, and now here you go. Another example of this would be Martin Corey took over from Lawrence Delalio. I mean, it just wasn't really going to work, and it didn't work.
I think with just on the Perenara, I think that was only ever as a stopgap. He was the first or second best scrum half at that point in time.
Yeah.
I think he's leaving to go to Japan. I think he's not available after this season or next season anyway, so it was only ever a brief window. He was never going to be the long-term successor to George Smith.
There we go. So
George Smith? Aaron Smith.
Aaron.
He's definitely not going to be the long-term successor to Wallabies number
Legend,
7 open side.
Who's
George
probably
Smith.
still playing somewhere and will make an appearance in the Premiership next year. So, I mean, I have no idea how England are going to shape up for the November tests. I don't know what they're going to look like.
I am genuinely. I think next weekend's game against the All Blacks will be really, really interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how England go. I'm looking forward to seeing post-Farrell England.
Again?
He wasn't
around in the summer, was he? Or was he? Did he tour? Surely he didn't tour in the summer.
No, he
didn't.
Yeah, but does that really count? Because that's just straight after the... Hang on. Am I missing something here? There's Six Nations.
Yeah.
You played Six Nations, yeah?
Did he? No, Marcus Smith played Six Nations.
You know what? Let's just call it post-Farrell and let's not talk about it any further.
Yeah. We have had post-Farrell anyway.
Post-Farrell.
Post-Farrell.
So
continuation of Marcus Smith.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, I'll have to see them play before I make any solid conclusions. The lads that have played for England so far, or have been picked for England so far, I don't think they've been outstanding in the Premiership. They've been good, but you wouldn't say many of those guys have been the absolute best players.
Faye Weboso has been...
Hard to say, but yeah.
Furbank has been...
Furbank's been brilliant, yeah.
Furbank's been dynamite.
Curry, no.
No.
Good in phases, fine.
No.
Jamie George, yeah, fine. But, like, if I was picking a team of the year right now in the Premiership, would he be in there?
Ollie Lawrence has been good.
Yeah, Ollie Lawrence is definitely one.
Ben Earl's been good. Cunningham South has been good. He might not actually start for England.
He doesn't stop Harlequins. Like, he doesn't. He's great off the bench for them. He's like a hammer.
I think he started earlier on, and I think if there was
He didn't start last game.
he didn't start the week before last, definitely not. But I do think he's there. He's in the first choice team. Yeah, fair.
So I need to see them as a unit before making any big decisions on whether they're going to be absolutely dynamite or not.
I think the team's very stable, so I think you could pretty much pick the starting team now. I think the starting team will be Genge, George, tight head's the hard one. Probably Will Stewart, but I'm not sure.
Has to be, doesn't it?
I think now Chesham is injured. It'll be Itoje and George Martin in the second row. It'll be probably Ben Earl, Tom Curry and Sam Underhill. Fitness allowing, with Cunningham South off the bench. It'll then be nine's hard because Mitchell would be the guy. But let's say Van Portfleet, Marcus Smith, Lawrence and Slade in the centres. Faye Weboso, Freeman and Furbank. I think the team pretty much picks itself.
So just on Cunningham South, he started Northampton and Newcastle games, and that's it, I think.
Was that the first couple?
Yeah, so he definitely didn't start Sale because I watched that one.
Yeah.
Then he started the next two. Then on the bench for Saracens, I want to say. Yep, and then the bench last week as well. So yeah, he's always involved.
Yeah. And having Kenningham back for them is massive as well.
Yeah.
Really, really good. And Don Brandt being back as well. Don Brandt obviously missed a few games, but now he's back.
Don Brandt in the England squad.
Yes.
Don't get that.
Yeah. He's in there. Right, games next weekend.
Okay.
I'm not going to do Premiership Cup or anything else. But
what?
In the internationals, we have got England against New Zealand. That is the big one.
Okay.
Winner?
I have no idea. I have no idea about New Zealand. I want to watch the England team, sort of how they perform. Everyone's saying it's going to be like a new start. There's a bunch of new coaches, or should I say, disappearing coaches with a few promotions. I honestly do not know what we're going to see from this England team.
I think it'll be more of the same. It'll be a continuation of what we've seen, which is a bit of a balance. It's not full World Cup mode with ultimate box kick in and take the points for everything. It's also not a full-on Bristol of 3 years ago where you run everything. But they do a bit of both.
On the coaches, Felix Jones is actually still there, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on a notice period.
Yeah, has he got 12 months?
I think it was 12 months notice.
Goodness me.
But they have, so Joel Abd is there as well. Kevin Sinfield, I must have seen 4 or 5 separate announcements saying that he's leaving and then staying and then leaving and then staying, and constantly in different guises. Now I think he is just there because he's a good bloke to be around. That's basically what I'm reading into it.
This drives me nuts. So this is I can't claim that this is solely my idea, but I tell you who talks about this a lot on TV is John Wilkin. Like, he gets mad when people say, "Oh, he's good around the boys." It's like, well, yeah, so lots of lads.
Yeah.
Now, I do not know how good Kevin Sinfield is as a coach, but I'd like him to prove his coaching credentials at some point. It's very nice what he's done. And, to a lot of people, he's a genuine hero.
Yeah.
And I would probably class him as that. But I don't need any heroes. I need a rugby coach. I need one now. So he wasn't around Leicester for that long.
Won a Premiership with him.
Yeah, fair.
But yes, I think it was almost proven that he was promoted too fast, too soon, that he has then been kind of like moved around the rules, which is good for him, but he's only getting the coaching in very short bursts.
Yeah.
It's not where you learn your trade.
He's surrounded by so much goodwill for what he's done that people are really willing him to succeed. They bring him into these environments. And I have no idea what goes on, but he then steps away and then he comes back. He's like, "Oh, can you talk to the lads? Can you inspire them to hit harder?" Basically, This is what I can see. I would like him to have a permanent job, which isn't absolutely top end in international, for an extended period of time to see, actually, is he any good at this? Because I need to know. And it's not like he's going to be uniquely good, because there's loads of guys who've come from Super League who are incredible coaches. Actually, I was having a chat this week about Super League and how we keep on stealing the players from Super League, and how so many teams, Broughton Park under 16 chat time, right, are taking rugby league boys and they end up being the cornerstone of their youth team. So I was talking to my friend Wilco, whose son, Daniel, is playing under 14s at Sale FC.
Oh, okay.
And the best player in their team is a rugby league lad. And this sort of pattern repeats itself over and over again. Tim's team has lost 2 lads to professional rugby league now, and they, I think, came from Saddleworth, did they? Somewhere like that? Or Oldham Way?
Oh, I'm not sure where they came from originally.
I'm pretty sure they did. But I don't know.
It's unquestionable that Tim spotted their talent. Like he did with Jody Barrett and Andrew Porter and Stockers and many more. Many
Now,
others.
I know you want to get home, but I want to talk about something else. I'm going to link these two things together.
Okay.
Did you see the report about making rugby sustainable? This is from the RFU.
No, I did not.
So basically, off the top of my head, the RFU did a massive report, which I've read part of before just throwing it in the bin. And it says things like, rugby is no longer sustainable, there's no longer a market for it in schools, the schools are pulling out, we need a new offering to kids, what are we going to do? And they've come up with T1, which is touch, but with like semi-opposed set pieces. And they're going to throw 7 million quid of our money at this thing. It's going to be the park run of rugby. Now, I don't need to tell you, or any of our listeners, because they're smart people, that this is trash. It will never work. In the introduction of this report, it even says the things that people love are the physicality, basically the things which I say. So we all know what we love about it. So if that's what we love about it, what could better encapsulate that than T1? I will never play that game. I will never recommend anyone else plays it. It's not rugby. It's something completely different. So the RFU are now thinking, right, we're going to give you non-contact rugby, which nobody wants to play because non-contact rugby is rubbish. Like, there's nothing left. Then there's like a semi-contact version and then a full contact version. And this is to appeal to schools. So I guess you're going to have school teachers that need to know 3 different versions of the game now. Right? So,
at least.
Right? So the whole thing is trash. The whole thing is absolute trash. I honestly think the game cannot survive the current administration. I also think that T1 are wasting 7 million quid on this thing. No one will. Can you think of anyone that would play it? Mind you, we're all getting old now, so like maybe you can't think of any of our friends that would play it.
Yeah, although maybe that's people that you can get playing it because people don't want to play contact when you're old and falling apart like me.
Yeah, I mean, like if you want to play T1, you're probably never going to play rugby in the first place. But like, you're just not going to play it. Like, there's so many other options for you now. Rugby is such a rubbish sport without the contact. I mean, I know there's some people out there who love touch, and
touch is a different game.
It's a different game,
played so differently.
I'm not being funny. It's a rubbish game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There are people that love it. More power to you. I hope you do really, really well. Whatever. I have no interest in playing touch. I have even less interest in playing mixed touch. But if it's the mixed aspect of sport that you want, which is what this report is suggesting, there's CrossFit, there's paddle. I mean, you're not going to compete with paddle, right? It's just, this is going to be a disaster from start to finish. Anyway, back to rugby league, right? The reason that these rugby league guys are so important, both in high-level coaching and throughout the whole tier of all the tiers of amateur rugby, is because they understand what rugby is fundamentally about. Like, why do we value rugby league so much? Because they're so bloody aggressive.
So hard.
They're so hard. Like, every single team that brings in a rugby league guy. Oh yeah, he plays rugby league. Why is that? Because he's hard. Like, why is Sean Edwards? Because he's hard. Like, then and the pattern repeats itself over and over again. You get some random guy who's played in the Super League for 5 years, and he ends up coaching a Premiership team to defensive glory, and it just always happens. It always happens. And the point I'm trying to make is they've wasted all this time writing a report on what rugby needs. If you want a simplified version of the game, it's called rugby league. It does already exist. It's the only form of the sport the RFU haven't managed to ruin yet because they don't own it, but they'd love to. They'd absolutely love to.
They would, yeah.
You
can't play mixed rugby league though. Wait,
no, you cannot. No, you cannot.
Although I have been drinking in many of the rugby league towns along the M62 corridor, and there are some women in those towns who look like they could hold up a scrum.
Well, I mean, someone's got to mother these brutes. Like, they've got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
But you can only rob a house once, and we're currently in the middle of plundering rugby league. You look at Owen Farrell, Carl Eastman. Carl Eastman, by the way, is coaching Doncaster.
Is he?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Doncaster Knights. No.
Doncaster Rugby
No.
League.
Who are the Panthers or the Pumas? Is it Halifax? No, are they Blues? Have I made that up?
Halifax are traditionally blue and white.
Is it? They've got Panthers in the name.
Don't know.
Anyway.
They might have rebranded. Salford didn't in when my old man first started watching Salford in the 1950s or whenever it was. They weren't called the Salford Red Devils at that point, or Salford Reds.
Salford FC or something.
Salford Rugby League, yeah.
RL.
Keep it simple. I don't even know. But I'm pretty confident that the Red Devils came in the 90s when I was a
Well, the claim is the Red
ticket
Devils were Salford Rugby League before they were united. Hence they're the original Red Devils.
Okay.
But in terms of marketing a Red Devil, some of the devils which Salford have put on their shirt have been comical. Like,
some of them have,
some
yeah.
have been absolutely
more like
horrendous.
There's one I remember that one. It was like Punch from Punch and Judy. It was an absolute joke.
Have I ever told you my Salford kit ordering story?
Oh, when you went into the stadium to try and buy a shirt?
No, when I phoned the stadium up.
Go on.
So, my dear friend Pedder Jones bought me a ticket for England-Wales.
Yeah.
So I gladly accepted the ticket, and I said to him, well, "What about you, Fitz? Because absolutely nothing my treat." Very nice.
Nice. He's a good boy, Pedder.
So I thought I'll treat him something because we've been in to watch Salford recently. Go online. And this is over a decade ago, and I bought one of the away shirts and one of the home shirts. So we both had a shirt to go to when we went to our next game. And when we went, I'd surprise him with his shirt. It's Thursday, and the game's on Friday. So I phoned up Salford because I've had no sign of the shirt, and they phoned up. They're at the Willows. Go, "Hi, Salford Red Devils." I was like, "Oh, hi! I've ordered a red shirt and a white shirt." I went, "Is it Mr. Beardmore?" No word of a lie. No word of a lie. So I was like, "Yes, it is." And then we picked it up at the game the next day. And they played. Hang on a minute. They played Harlequins. Luke Dawn, that's who it was. Luke Dawn was a standoff. I'm just trying to think. Was it Tim Swale that was the dual code guy? I think Luke Dawn played for Harlequins League and Union.
Oh.
Yeah,
wow.
Luke Dawn was a standoff.
There's some of the old. I've just looked up some of the old Salford Reds logos.
Oh my word! Yeah, they're horrendous, aren't they?
Yeah,
that was the one on the far right, which looks kind of like a baby.
Yes, yeah, that one. Yeah, that was for some of my time. But those two, top and left there. That is like Punch from Punch and Judy. It's an absolute joke.
Yeah. Anyway, games next week.
So we've got obviously the big one, England, New Zealand. I'm not even going to do a prediction. I'm just looking forward to seeing it.
Yep, agreed. I don't think it's not an easy one to predict.
No, definitely not. Scotland hosts Fiji, which will be good.
Yep.
Then, those are the big games this week. I will quickly reel off the other games that are taking place.
Is this because
is this
outside? Yeah.
I think this must be outside. I'm not entirely sure on that, but yeah, no one else is playing. So not no one else, but none of the other big teams are playing. So we have Munster versus an All Blacks 15.
Yep.
We have Belgium hosting Switzerland. Uganda hosting Kenya.
Awesome.
In Kampala. The United Arab Emirates host Zimbabwe in Dubai, in the Seven Stadium in Dubai.
Oh, wow.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, will.
And on next Wednesday, at Kingsholm at Gloucester, the UK Armed Forces are taking on Germany.
That is awesome.
That is a cool fixture.
Yeah. I was talking to someone yesterday about the Churchill Cup.
The old Canada, US, England.
And the first game they ever saw was Canada versus Gloucester.
Wow.
Yeah, in the summer. But I couldn't. I was trying to push them on like which players were there. I was reeling off Gloucester players for hours. I just don't remember. Mate, I don't remember. Mate, I've told you I don't remember. I don't remember. I was just there at the time. James Simpson Daniel. James Forrester.
There we go. That's everything. Tim normally wraps this up, but thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. You can find us at contacteggchaser@gmail.com. We do still have a Twitter account, but
we do.
When was the last time anything was posted on there?
Well,
multiple years ago.
I checked the messages.
Yeah,
I mean, like 200 messages at least.
Yeah, okay.
Which I just deleted. So I think I might have read one because like some charity. Oh, by the way, if you did contact us at gmail.com this week, I apologise for not reading out your emails, but Tim will do it next week because that's what he does.
Yeah, he's very good at that.
Yeah, he's
very good at curating it.
Right.
And yes, let the boys end.
Discover Hydro, the best kept secret in fitness. Hydro is the state-of-the-art at-home rower that engages 86% of your muscles, delivering the ultimate full-body workout in just 20 minutes. From advanced to beginner, Hydro has over 500 classes, shot worldwide and taught by Olympians and world-class athletes. For a 30-day risk-free trial, go to hydro.com and use code ROW450 to save $450 on a Hydro Pro rower. That's HYDROW.com, code ROW450.
Make us your game day headquarters this football season. Stop by your nearest Penn Play destination for all the gridiron action. Watch the best games on our giant screen TVs. Throw back a few of your favorite ice-cold pints with friends. Tackle the area's best game day food. Get in the game with deals, drawings, rewards, and more. To find a Penn Play destination near you, visit PennPlay.com. Score big this football season at your Penn Play game day headquarters. Sponsored by ESPN Bet. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
People are driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. The hiring process can be slow and overwhelming. Simplify hiring with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform. With over 350 million global monthly visitors according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ12. That's Indeed.com/PODKATZ12. Terms and conditions apply.